Establishing a coalition government has been at times slow going. What other things, in your view, from a military or political perspective, can be done to speed up that process?
Well, when President Obama was here, he passed a very clear message to them, and it's one of accommodation, working with each other to achieve their political objectives. It has to do with compromise. They have to learn to compromise on issues so they can move forward and create the environment that allows Iraq to continue to grow into a sovereign nation that is one that will contribute regionally as well as internationally.
When I visited Iraq a couple of years ago and you showed me around and showed me the new strategy that was being sort of practiced by U.S. troops, the Iraqi security forces were really not up to snuff at that point in time. You had a lot of problems with incompetence, a lot of problems with people basically joining it and ratting out the military, and a lot of disarray in the Iraqi forces. Have the Iraqi security forces improved significantly since you showed me around Baghdad a couple of years ago?
They have made great strides. They are taking more and more control of the cities. We have turned about 75% of the security profile over to the Iraqi security forces. They are in charge in almost every city. We have moved out of many of the major cities. The only ones really left are Baghdad, Mosul, and Baquba, and we are in the process of moving out of Baghdad. They are taking full responsibility for that. It is moving forward in a positive way. I am confident in the way we're moving forward. If we can solve the political issues, if we continue to develop the Iraqi security forces, they continue to professionalize themselves, I think we'll be on the right track. So yes, they've made significant progress.
You mentioned Iran. Of course, there was a significant amount of concern about the Iranians supplying weapons to insurgents inside Iraq and trying to influence the war there and the political process. Do you find that Iran is still a major source of concern for you and other military leaders?
Iran still provides some funding, some training, some support for surrogates here in Iraq. However, it has decreased. They clearly have decreased their support, but there are still elements here, such as Kataib Hezbollah, that are clearly getting support from Iraq as they try to form both a militant and political wing here to have some influence in Iraq in the future. So we watch these groups very carefully. We continue to go after their leadership, and we're trying to make it very difficult for them to establish themselves permanently here in Iraq. And so far, we've made some progress along those lines. But yes, Iran still supports some of these surrogate elements.
So you still see a flow of weapons coming into the country?
We do. It is less than it was, but we still see training going on. We still see some funding going on. And just a couple days ago, we interdicted some EFPs coming in from Iran. So we still know that there is some support still coming in from Iran.
The ceasefire in Iraq came, as you know, from the bottom up with a lot of locally brokered agreements between Sunnis and Shiites. Do you think there needs to be more of a national reconciliation among the ethnic groups, Shiites, Sunnis, and Kurds, in order to move the political ball forward as well?
Yeah, and yes, I do. I think we've made progress. I think the government of Iraq has been true to their word in funding and trying to integrate the Sons of Iraq into, which are mostly Sunnis, into the government of Iraq. And I think that's a positive sign. That's a confidence-building measure that all of us are watching very closely. But the government of Iraq has allocated, even though their budget has been reduced, they've continued to allocate fully the salaries of these Sons of Iraq. So I think that's an important step. But part of the comments that the statements that President Obama made and the points he made to the leadership about accommodation, about working together, about coming to agreement on many of these issues center around the ability to include all Iraqis in the government as we move forward. They are doing it. It is happening slowly, but I think it is happening. And we have to watch this carefully. Frankly, I'm more concerned about the Arab-Kurd tensions right now. And I think what we need is accommodation between the government of Iraq and the KRG to work through many of the difficult issues that they have facing them. And I think they will do that. And that's part of the discussion that we have quite regularly. And we continue to help them to push forward to make sure that they do accommodate and meet some of the goals that have been set for them.
President Bush said in 2007 that, quote, "It makes no sense to tell the enemy when you plan to start withdrawing that all the terrorists would have to do is to, quote, mark their calendars." To those who say the insurgents and various other factions are simply laying low and laying in wait for the U.S. to withdraw, you would say what?
I would say that the capacity of the Iraqi security forces is growing every single day. And I think by 2011 that they will be able to handle the threats that are there. They will be able to secure their population. And I believe that with our help over the next 2.5 years till the end of 2011, that we will continue to develop them.
Another major area of concern, as you know, General Odierno, is Couric. U.S. troops have played a key role as acting as mediators. U.S. troops have played a key role acting as mediators between the Kurds and the Iraqi army in that region. Are you worried about potentially a full-blown civil war erupting in that region?
Well, again, it's about Arab-Kurd relations. It's about relationships between the government of Iraq and the Kurdistan regional government. Again, it's about compromise. And we're working through that now. The UN will release an assessment here in the next few days. I think we'll try to use that as a basis to move forward and then work towards compromise between the government of Iraq and the Kurdistan regional government. So again, this has to be accomplished through diplomatic efforts. It has to be accomplished through dialogue between these different factions. And I believe that will happen. And if we're able to make that happen, then the chance of a civil war or violence will be significantly reduced. Today, yes, we are playing a role in making sure that some tactical situation doesn't evolve into significant violence that could unhinge this. We will continue to do that. But I believe by the end of 2011, we'll be able to work through many of these issues, and so it will not be a significant problem by that time.